rock and roll, all in one station, mixing genres and generations. You're listening to KNLY, New Waverly, Texas, 91.1 FM, The Boss. We are broadcasting live from the Woodlands, Texas to the world. You're listening to the only multimedia FM station in Houston, Texas. Your Fusion Radio, top 40s, dance, Latin, country, pop, rock and roll, all in one station, mixing genres and generations. You're listening to KNLY, New Waverly, Texas, 91.1 FM, The Boss. It's time to change. If you like country, we play it. If you like pop, we play it. If you like Latin music, we play it. If you like rock and roll, we play it. Because no one does fusion music like we do. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
Programs presented are submitted by members of our community and are a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of KNLY 91.1 FM, The Boss, and affiliates.
Thank God it's...
Welcome to Today with Kashay. It's Friday, the day we discuss social and business transformation in this digital age. Get ready, folks, for a loose, fun, and hopefully inspiring dialogue. I'm Jesus, your guest co-host. To my right, the lady of the hour and namesake of the show, also known as my better half, Kashay.
Yes, I am.
What's up, babe?
Hi, babe.
We are back.
We're back.
Back in the studio.
We weren't here last Friday.
We weren't.
We weren't.
We were in Houston, but we weren't here.
Yes, of course, but we're here.
We are.
How
Thank
are
God
you?
it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
The weather doesn't reflect it,
Yeah.
but it's summertime. It's officially summer.
It's official.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's official.
Well, I felt it this morning at the workout.
Okay.
Nice and warm.
Boss
Let's just say it was muggy. It was muggy this morning.
That workout, I don't know.
I told you that Brian, the co-owner of a Baby Bowl, is sadistic, right?
Yeah, I didn't know what you meant when you said that.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, oh, his workouts are really today.
It's your show, but I'm going to take poetic license here,
Oh.
right? Or literary license, I guess they say.
Yeah.
And let's segue a little bit.
Okay.
We're still going to be talking about transformation, especially the digital impact, the digital tool impact. A lot of things going on, babe, right now. There's a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
A lot of things going on right now.
Yeah.
And I wanted to segue because
Okay.
there is, I think it's worth discussing how tech impacts society.
Okay.
We normally speak about private sector. You know, you and I talk a lot about what's going on in the commercial world, whether it's bankruptcies, whether it's new tools, new inventions, all that.
Sure.
But I want to talk about a little bit about what's happening, and then get your take on it. And I want you to think about the following.
Okay.
I'm gonna lay out four dynamics, and I want you to think about this. Severe economic problems and impatience around basic civil rights. Credibility being questioned, especially nations' leaders on both sides. This is a commentary show. We're not going to take a position either way. We lay out observations, and then we come to a conclusion. And a challenge to freedom of speech, and even challenging institutions as we know them. What do you think about these four dynamics?
Well, I mean, there's a lot to think. In what direction specifically are those? I do. When you say those, I think those are being questioned right now in our
That's
society.
correct.
I
That's
will
correct.
say that, and that's the first thing. Those are some strong things, and to
Very
be able
strong.
to say
Very
that
strong.
all four of those are being questioned, there's a problem.
No question
There's a
about
problem.
that.
There's
That's
a
true.
problem.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, guess what, babe? I
Okay.
just described
Yeah.
some of the most important issues that the country faced in 1968.
Okay. Okay.
In 1968. So I want to
Yeah.
throw out a word,
Okay.
and it's one of the words that I use very humbly about how much I love and respect this country, and it's resilience.
Okay.
The other things that were happening at that, in that era, at that time, let's think about this for a second.
Okay.
The Vietnam War. We're currently engaged in wars overseas, but the Vietnam War back then was incredibly divisive. Number one, it was being played out live
Okay.
on TV.
Okay.
And think about it for a second. Most of our impressions on terms of press and in terms of information were coming through TV or radio or print. Internet didn't exist. The other dynamic that was happening is that there was a real rebellion among young people.
Okay.
You have the counterculture, etc. And that led to another third dynamic called the culture war.
Okay.
You had younger people really facing off against their parents that were from a different generation. The culture war was also very divisive. The fourth and biggest dynamic, I think, that was incredibly impactful were the assassinations. So the lead up to 1968, you had JFK's assassination in 1963.
Okay.
In 1968, you had two key leaders that were assassinated. Martin Luther King in April of that year, and then John F. Kennedy in June. Within a span of months, two important leaders of that time.
Okay.
So we've been rocked before, babe.
Okay.
Okay? But the country has proven to come back over and over again. What are the differences today? And that's when I want to get in a little bit about technology. Think about how technology impacts what we're seeing. Number one, organizing. The organizing is done literally in a matter of hours, whereas before you kind of had to spread the word.
Okay.
Think about that.
Okay.
Think about the communication in the political system itself. Twitter. Twitter has literally replaced a press briefing. I mean, that's amazing.
That's a huge statement you
Yeah,
just said.
that's amazing. Think about
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
you can communicate today directly
Sure.
with your consumer.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about this. You can literally communicate today directly with your consumer, whether it's a chat on a website
Sure.
or a Twitter feed directly to
Right.
the White House. And again, we're not going to take a position either way. We're going to expose our observations.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, along with that comes misinformation. So now, today, there is an overload.
Right.
There is an amazing overload of information. So how do you wade and how do you weed and, navigate through that? Because anybody can throw up a legitimate looking site,
Right.
right? Or a Twitter feed or a blog or whatever, and claim to have some type of answer,
Right.
some type of credible position.
Right.
And if we're getting information fed in bite-sized pieces and we don't take the time to really understand what we're backing,
Right.
what we're following,
Right.
are we questioning it all the way through? Are we exhausting those questions? So you have people really being led either through evil forces or people that are being led that didn't take the time to really think through. What do you think about that, babe? Because I think that the impact of technology in political systems today is really it's astounding.
Right.
It's astounding. What do you think about that?
Well, I think exactly what you're saying. I think it says that having the ability to have information put up by anyone at any time at such quick speeds.
Right.
And we already have seen the effects of how the technology world can have both a positive effect and
Right.
both a negative effect to
Right.
some people.
Right.
It is to some degree creating, it's
is.
creating havoc in our country, and it's creating havoc in the minds. So I really start to think about, where does all of it begin? It begins in your mind and in your spirit and where you stand
Right.
as an individual. And
Right.
if you're how many of us are 100% on par all the time? Well, we've been affected by so many things in our lives.
We're human beings,
We're
baby.
human beings. So if you are in one mindset and you read something that speaks to the mindset you're in, you run that way. Then in the next moment, you run this way. So everybody's running and all the... And then the other point I would like to say is, to some degree, was this a process that was implemented years ago in the making? Obviously, technology had to know that if you start to give people more ability to expand, you're going to create this type of giant, whatever you want, that's creating. I mean, so who's to blame here?
Right.
Not to say we're blaming anyone, but think about it.
Well, with technology today and the tools that exist, politics as we know it, I believe, babe, and I say this very humbly, I think you agree, is politics as we know it is over. I mean, it is this is a new world of politics or political system designed to guide or really be the guide that sets up the what you call is really the sidebar, the side rails that you need to maneuver within. Well, that's changing. That's changing. What I also see, babe, is that the system is on full display. There's one thing that technology allows is exposure and visibility. It also shows where systems are being strained.
Yes.
Okay, being strained. They're on full display. In some cases, I'm not going to name names, in some cases, ineptness.
Okay.
The word is ineptness. In some cases, ineptness is on full display from people in positions of power or leadership. If you ran for a political position, if you ran for a political position, let's say you ran unopposed, representing your party. You go to the election, for some reason, you win. And you come from a background. And I say this, and I say this very respectfully. Okay? And I can say what I'm about to say, babe, because you and I are citizens of the county. And we vote. Okay? But if you bring a limited body of work in terms of experience of running operations, of managing people, okay, of guiding major budgets, and you're put in a position where all of a sudden you're responsible for 5,000 people with a $4 billion budget, where's the experience to manage that? So you see strain. You see strain because you're married to an ideology, or you're married to your own lack of experience where you're looking for people that you can trust to guide you along that. So the exposure is there now with the internet. It literally is out there. So it's showing cracks in the system where there might be lacks of leadership, lack of experience, and that can lead to bad decisions. Somebody make the argument that the experience in Seattle was a positive one. What's the positive out of that? Where you get rid of the police.
Well, it's just insane.
It's insane. I mean,
it's insane.
That is the definition of insanity.
I'm sorry. There's, and like you said, I'm going to speak my position because I am an individual who has my own thoughts and my own rights. But to say you're going to literally oust, that's insane. It doesn't make sense. But again, I believe there's something behind this.
Got it.
It doesn't just start with people running through the world saying we're going to do this and then society letting them do it. There's something bigger behind it.
Got it.
That's my opinion.
That makes sense. Okay, well, you have to summarize that is that, the exposure is there on the internet. The exposure is there. Our founding fathers had the great vision to push power down to the local level. To the local level. However, we are now noticing that local level may be full of ineptness. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's straining the system. So I think that the resilience is going to permit this country to get back on track. I really believe that.
Well, you know what? It's done it before.
That's
right. And it'll do it again.
That's right. Okay, very good. Excellent. Great input.
Thank you.
We will take a commercial break, and we will be right back.
We'll be back.
Cupcakes and Bubbles, located at 26400 Kirkendall Road in Tomball, Texas. Cupcakes and Bubbles has the sweetest and most delicious cupcakes for the entire family. From chocolate raspberry, strawberry rhubars, cookies and cream, and the most popular among kids, the s'mores cupcake. Come and enjoy our cupcakes with a glass of your favorite bubbles. Visit www.cupcakesandbubbles.com for the complete list of our delicious cupcakes. Order online through our webpage. DoorDash and Uber Eats is available too. Enjoy life's sweetest moments with Cupcakes and Bubbles.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
It started as a dream. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to have my own restaurant. And it was a dream that finally we had the opportunity to build it here in the Woodlands. And I'm so happy with it.
It's a really authentic Italian food. I try to maintain the most original possible. It's very important. Every day I make my fresh pasta.
Chi mangia bene, mangia italiano. Please come and visit us.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
So I've got a question for you, babe.
Okay.
You're gonna love this question.
Do I have an answer?
You do. You always do.
Do I have an answer? Oh my gosh.
You
Okay.
always do.
Okay, go ahead.
You always do. You always do.
Hit me. Let's do it.
Are politicians necessary?
Are politicians necessary? Well, I mean, I think...
I could just imagine people in the audience going, no!
I mean, you know, it depends on how they're being utilized.
Okay.
There is a necessity in some aspects. Politics have some necessity in our society.
Yeah, a political system.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So you have we are a country based on a representative style of government. Everybody agrees with that. Okay, and that's been replicated around the world to a certain point. Okay.
Sure.
But the question actually comes into play because of something we were talking about earlier in the segment about people are going to get tired of ineptness, lack of leadership, and not taking a stand, and basically disregarding, that what happens in the private world that you and I come from is at some point people vote with their pocketbook. I don't like the way that they didn't pay attention to me at the restaurant, or I don't like the way that service is being delivered, so I vote with my pocketbook. I'm never going to engage with them again.
Or I'm going to tip less, or I'm going to do all those things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go there again, or I'm going to go on my Instagram or Facebook feed and give them a terrible review.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think about how technology thrives in the private sector, it usually begins either generated, created in the private sector first. Okay, because, and I'm talking about in the U.S., mostly because we have a capitalist system that provides the avenue for that. And then gradually, it's adapted in the public sector. Okay?
So usually they use that as the test model.
That's the test
model.
And
then once that...
The lab.
Sure, and then they roll it out.
And so what happens is that the public sector, call it city, state, local, government, or federal level, has to agree. Has to agree to that.
Okay.
Before, I'm going to give you a quick example, just very simple. Before, even with the internet available, before you still had to go to the DMV and get your license renewed. Of course, now you can do it online.
Sure.
Also, I'm a frequent traveler overseas. TSA, you become a global entry traveler. That had to be a physical, in-person, I think it still is, interview.
Yep.
But now you can renew that online.
Oh, really?
Okay. So again, these are generally accepted principles and requirements that the public sector has accepted as viable and legally bounding. Okay. So again, starting in the private sector, it turns into a public sector tool that you can use. 2 weeks ago, we mentioned a concept called crowdsourcing. And so crowdsourcing is like-minded individuals coming together that don't even necessarily know each other. So you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. How has crowdsourcing impacted, for example, raising funds,
Sure.
raising money for nonprofits, right?
Sure, it changes the process a little
It
bit.
changes
Where
the
people
process.
used to have to go to a bank or go to certain things and go through processes and say, okay, get approved for things. Now with crowdfunding, you can just kind of pull
Or
together
crowdsourcing.
or crowdsourcing
In this case, for
rather.
funding, sure.
Yeah, for the funding and. be
Why do
able
you
to-
think?
yeah.
Why do you think that came about? Why do you think Kickstarter came about? Why do you think that came about? And why do you think the funding needs, or the world looking for funding? Why do you think this was
I'm just going to
created?
pick one word that I know won't be wrong. Inefficiencies.
Okay.
Inefficiencies in the other system of
Yeah.
the other way of doing it.
Great word. It's one of my favorite words. Yeah.
Was there was inefficiencies that people got tired of.
Like what? Like what?
Right. Like,
Yeah.
so they got, things where they had a great idea, and they really had all of the, laid out good business plan, good, everything, but just didn't have the funds.
Right.
And maybe they didn't have the bandwidth or the eye, if you will, if they went into someone to give them the approval
Right.
that they needed because they weren't big enough. They hadn't proven all those measures that are put on you, so to speak, that says you have to have this in place before we can actually approve you. But that's not always the case. So in crowdsourcing, right, so
Right.
to speak, right, to get your crowdfunding,
Yeah.
that's not about that. It's about who has the right idea,
Right.
who has something that we can stand behind, and who can we as a group get behind and roll this out.
Excellent. Very good.
Am I right?
That's a good summary.
Okay.
This is a funny story. This is a
Okay.
personal story
Okay.
because I told you we grew up in Austin.
Yep.
You know that. And my
Yep.
father, one of the early jobs that he had while he was a student was selling used cars.
Okay.
And so
I didn't know this
bilingual
stuff.
family, et
Yeah.
cetera. So my dad said, well, I've got to, earn a living and,
Okay,
feed my
okay.
family, the whole
Okay.
deal. So he took a job. He started as a bookkeeper for a used car lot.
Okay.
And this is the early 70s, right off I-35, used car lot.
Okay.
And the owner said, and I'm the namesake, so my father's name is Jesus. He said, Jesus, if you want some extra money, go out there and sell. We have some folks that aren't necessarily fluent in English. Maybe we could sell them cars as well.
how
So he
nice.
did both. So he did the bookkeeping as well as
And
sell
sold to
cars.
okay.
So I'm going to give you a very, very, let's just say a very rudimentary example of that innovation. So if you ever bought a car and you ever went to a used car lot that said, your job is your credit.
Oh, I've seen those.
Yeah, sure. Because
Yeah.
before you used to have to line up the credit before and then go, oh, my bank's already gonna,
Sure.
lend me the money, or whether it was for a mortgage
Yep.
or whatever. And they became flexible.
Right.
They became flexible, i.e., innovative,
Sure.
on how they were gonna carry the note, how much they charged you, or how they were gonna carry the note. All of a sudden, this created a new pool of customers.
In-house
Same thing.
financing,
In-house
so to speak,
financing.
yeah.
That's another example.
Yeah.
So fast forward,
Okay.
to where we are today, and now you have that. So here's the question for you.
Okay.
Can we apply technology to a political system and just get rid of these politics?
Wow. Wow. Well,
It's a topic. It actually
it is
is a topic.
it's a topic. Well, I don't know that I have that answer today.
Okay.
But I will say there's inefficiencies on both sides.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I am not there yet to say that I would want a whole system
Mm-hmm.
to source or to suit a human
Right.
yet. I'm
Right.
not quite there yet.
Right.
But I do know we need some type of change.
Right.
And we need to figure out sooner than later
Right.
with our inefficiencies how we can fix them so that we can move along in a more seamless process.
This is why I'm going to come back to capitalism. And maybe
Okay.
some folks in the audience may not necessarily agree with this,
Yeah.
okay? But capitalism over time has proven itself to be the most innovative, thrusting
You've said that,
power
yeah.
in the world,
Yeah.
in the world's history, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It drove this country
Yeah.
to the power that it became in less than 60 years in the
Wow.
1800s. It drove the United States as a young country, a 100-year-old country, into a major power, surpassing, folks, Great Britain, which was the power at that time. The Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was based on individual
Wow.
trial and error,
Wow.
okay, knowing that they had a profit motive
Yeah.
if they did something better. So that's a very healthy motive. Some people take it too far.
I was going to say that. It sounds like what we may have done is we've gone too far away from, sometimes you have to go back to the basics in some cases, right? You got to go back and start from the beginning and you know, and you don't want to lose yourself. And, and as a country, we can't lose ourselves and go too far. So you have to.
I agree with that. But the folks that are trying to qualify socialism as an alternative, they're wrong. I'm just going to say it right now. They're wrong. You look at the experience in Venezuela, where I'm from. That experiment in socialism just doesn't work.
It just
doesn't work because what happened, and if there's anybody that's a Chavista that's listening right now, I challenge you. I challenge you to sit right here with us and debate how in 20 years they've carried or they've put that country into a tailspin. Anybody that's following the history of Venezuela, after 20 years of destroying what was a somewhat viable economic system.
Exactly.
It wasn't perfect. I'm the first one to say that.
Inefficiencies always.
There was always inefficiencies.
Yeah.
I accept that. Okay, but after 20 years of destroying, instead of revising or improving upon, literally improving upon, they've put this in the country where it is today. Somebody explain to me how it is that we've got to this point. All of a sudden, these guys woke up and said, after 20 years, "Oh, I guess we need to govern now." You know, so you know, where is that? So anyway, I want to come back to this, so we can close out this segment. But I want to come back to this and saying the brain power, babe, the brain power that we have in this beautiful and resilient country is amazing. So I challenge the people that are downplaying our status as a world leader, because that's what we are. And I say it with great pride.
Sure.
You know, and I say it humbly and with pride, I guess, if we can do that.
However you want. You say it how you feel.
But the system, even with all it, because it's not perfect, but even with its inefficiencies, works.
Yes.
It works. So I challenge anybody to show me another way to get that. And I believe that technical tools, you know, or technology, the brain power that this incredible country has, can still promote positive change. It can still do it. And I go back to resilience. This country has been through wars, went through the Civil War, 2 wars, you know, 2 world wars, the Korean War, which we just celebrated, you know, earlier this week, the unrest in 1968. That was 52 years ago. And we're looking at some parallels today. So we're going to go through a cycle. We're still people.
Right.
You know, we're still human beings. Right. So we're going to go through that. But at each point, I think that the country has the ability to reinvent itself. But if you're going to sit there and stand up for something that's against what we believe is principle, show me an alternative. Don't just scream and yell. Show me an alternative. What do you think about that?
I think you're spot on. He's spot on. He's spot on. We'll toast to that tonight. No, I mean, I will say that in history, obviously, you bring a great parallel and a great correlation that we as a country can go through some trials. I will say this, we have to learn. We have to learn, though, through history. And we need to learn through what we did. It's like if I took just my life, individually, if we take our lives, and we have to learn. History can repeat itself. It's going to. Things can happen. But we always have to learn how we can be better and how we can grow from it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Excellent point. Excellent point. Okay.
It's 12:29.
Time for a quick break.
Is it?
All right. And we're going to get back to a great, fun topic. This has been fun, hasn't it?
I love it.
Yeah, this has been fun.
I could listen to you all day go. Like,
really?
I mean, yes.
Keep talking.
Have you noticed? I'm just sitting here going, okay, can we get more of this? I'm kind of quiet over here. I mean, maybe we'll have to do this again. Talk a little bit more about it.
It is a fun topic.
Well, not just is it a fun topic. I really like, one, you're spot on.
Thank you, babe.
2, you have a very good way of communicating it, and you make sense of what you're saying, so anyone out there listening can understand. You're not taking a position. You're just putting the facts out, and hey.
It's a little heartfelt because I love this country so much.
I know you do,
and I know you do as well. And we're so blessed.
I know we are,
and so lucky. So lucky.
We are.
Okay, we'll wrap up that segment on that note. And we're going to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Turn on your glam today. The Jenna Klein collection is here, elaborated with natural products. Give yourself a compliment with our organic lip glosses in more than 15 shades. With the Jenna Klein lip gloss collection, you can hydrate your lips and keep that glamorous look that you need. Turn on your glam. Visit jennaklein.com. And don't forget our skincare collection with natural ingredients that will improve the skin's appearance and prevent visible signs of aging. We have everything you need to achieve smooth and vitalized skin. jennaklein.com. Turn on your glam today.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY
Cupcakes and Bubbles,
91.1
located at 26400 Kirkendall Road in Tomball, Texas. Cupcakes and Bubbles has the sweetest and most delicious cupcakes for the entire family. From chocolate raspberry, strawberry rhubars, cookies and cream, and the most popular among kids, the s'mores cupcake. Come and enjoy our cupcakes with a glass of your favorite bubbles. Visit www.cupcakesandbubbles.com for the complete list of our delicious cupcakes. Order online through our webpage. DoorDash and Uber Eats is available too. Enjoy life's sweetest moments with Cupcakes and Bubbles.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Babe, were you ever I think you were you a fan of outlet stores?
Yeah, I mean, a fan?
Yeah.
Well, a fan
I mean,
is
you
like
grew up
someone
in-
who's going, woo! But I will tell
So
you.
you grew up in Katy,
Okay.
tell me about the Katy Mills
I'll
experience.
hit it straight. I have
Okay.
shopped at many outlet stores, and I will continue to shop at the ones that I want to. Yes.
I'm
yes,
a fan of
yes.
outlet
Oh,
stores.
you're a fan
You're
of yes,
but,
yes.
But
okay.
is that something that you frequent? Do you go to outlet stores?
You know, I don't frequent them. That's
Okay.
that. But I have been to many.
Okay.
You could ask me about all the main ones. I probably can tell you I've been there.
You know, there was an article
Yeah,
that came
okay,
out that
okay.
2 weeks ago that caught my attention, 2 weeks ago, and this really made me think about
Okay.
that particular segment. You know,
Okay.
I'm a big fan of dollar stores, etc. And
Do you want to tell everybody why you're a big fan of dollar stores? He loves.
Not really.
Okay, keep going.
Now I have my sister Tatiana
Yeah.
had gone in for the first time at a Family Dollar.
That's great. That's
And
great.
then I know she's laughing. and watching right now.
Everybody's
Tatiana,
gonna.
I gave you up.
Yes,
I gave you up.
Everybody go to dollar stores this weekend in spirit of Jesus. Anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Dick's Sporting Goods.
Okay.
Dick's Sporting Goods. Dick's Sporting Goods is expanding its footprint nationwide, and they're actually opening two types of outlet stores. One is
interesting.
called
Okay.
Overtime, and the
Okay.
other one is called Dick's Sporting Goods Warehouse.
Okay.
Now, the Overtime format is going to offer a pretty wide assortment of apparel, footwear, and equipment from similar brands like Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour, up to 75% off regular prices. The reason this caught my attention is because I don't think of Academy opening a outlet store. I might go to Marshall's. I might go to TJ Maxx. I might even go to
Okay.
the Nike store directly off 290.
Yeah.
Or go to San Marcos.
But why
or
not
go to-
Academy?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. So why would
Yeah.
Dick's selling,
Okay.
clearance stuff outside their store? It might be an effect on their brand.
Oh, I see.
And said, I mean, what's going to veer you to go there? Now what we're doing is we're literally now comparison shopping at clearance
See,
chains.
I didn't realize Dick's was a clearance store.
It's not a clearance store. That's the whole point.
oh, okay.
So think about Dick's,
Yeah.
Cabela's, Academy
Right.
up here.
Okay.
First line stuff.
Okay.
That's what you think about first. They've done an incredible branding job that you're thinking about.
Right.
Now you want to catch it on a sale because
Okay.
because the items aren't
Yeah.
cheap necessarily. Okay. So what happens is they said, well, instead of
Yeah.
carrying this inventory that we can't move
Right.
and selling it through a second channel to a Marshall's, to a TJ Maxx, or to a Ross,
Yeah.
why don't we just open our own
That's
formats?
not a good move for them.
Why do you think it's not a good move?
Oh my God, Dick, stop! Because the reason I wouldn't think is because if you take a place like I'm just going to say like a Neiman Marcus,
Right.
Neiman Marcus had Neiman Marcus Last Call.
That's correct.
And they said the same thing. I remember when I had my business, Designer Divas, I
Yeah.
would talk to different stores about doing business with them, and they were like, "Oh no, we have our outlet store." But the reality is, if you have this big overhead buildings that you've got, Neiman Marcus big stores, and you go open additional buildings And so now there's a cost. It wouldn't make sense to, if you're trying to get rid of stuff, to make money on it. Just sell, like you said, either sell it off or sell it online. Why would you go open another big store? To hence is why some of these places are probably closing doors anyway.
Could be. That's actually that's a very insightful. That's very insightful, because the overtime. There's actually two formats. The overtime format is going to offer, again, branded items, not their brand. But other brands, major brands at 75% off regular prices.
Yeah.
The Dick's Sporting Goods warehouse, it's a different format, is going to offer up to, will offer deeper discounts on customer favorite footwear and apparel up to 90% off. So we've become, babe, a society used to waiting on promotion. I wait.
Yeah.
I'm just going to wait on the sale. I'm just going to wait on the sale, because it's now every day, everywhere you look, there's a sale.
Yeah.
There's a sale. So I wondered about that, because you have Nike stores in outlet malls.
Yeah.
You can go to an Under Armour or a Nike store at an outlet mall. There's retail tricks on the pricing. Believe me, there's trickery going on there. You also have Skechers warehouse outlets. Now I'm talking about offline. What about online? So why can't I just go directly to the Nike store online and get the best deal, or get a promo code or whatever? The options, all the options that we have today. Why would Dick's now start literally competing with monsters like TJX Companies that owns Home Goods, Marshalls, Ross, and TJ Maxx? That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. You wonder, are you putting the brand in danger? Are you cannibalizing the foot traffic that goes to the regular stores over to the other stores, right? Or are you just accepting the fact that maybe your system is inefficient, and you have to find an outlet to sell products that didn't sell, you didn't pick them correctly, there was inefficiency in your selection, in the way that you were forecasting, in your fashion design, whatever that is.
Well, it's a great direction you're going, because part of me is thinking maybe behind the scenes they know that they're going to be filing for bankruptcy, and so they're trying to position themselves as this type of new thing before they close the main Dick's store. Maybe there's something behind it, because from a front side it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So I agree with you. I don't know what unless there's something going on behind that they're still trying to keep a footprint in the brick and mortar versus, I don't know. That's interesting. Very interesting. Yeah.
Babe, one of your pizza places from Chuck E. Cheese.
I know.
Chuck E. Cheese.
How many parties, generation after generation. I can go down the list of generation of Chuck E. Cheese parties.
Terrible pizza at Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh my God.
Great gifts and fun place for my nephew Cooper. Loved going to Chuck E. Cheese.
So many stories of Chuck E. Cheese. That's when you know things are changing. I'm sorry.
That's when you know it's bad.
That's when you know it's bad, when Chuck E. Cheese says, I'm closing my doors. Chuck E. Cheese, come on.
Come on.
Wow.
Yeah,
but again, a lot of this is, I think I've said before, we've had a surplus of businesses, and we have.
That's a good statement.
We have a surplus, and when you have surplus,
that's good insight.
Eventually,
what's going to happen? There's going to be a shakeout. What about GNC? GNC was also saying that they were going to be entering bankruptcy to sell the business.
Yeah.
So where am I going to get my whey protein now?
Well, let me guess. Someone like you is going to go online and do all of your shopping. Yes, you will.
I'll tell you, you want to know the last time I was in a GNC?
Well,
the last time I was in a GNC, I was in Mexico City.
Okay.
And I happened to be doing a store check.
Okay.
I was looking at some
You're
products.
doing a store check.
It was a pet, it was in pet. And I was looking at, doing a store check in a pet retailer, and next door was a GNC.
Okay.
So I usually get a snack mid-morning, and I had run out of snacks. And then they have.
Oh, poor baby!
I know. I didn't know you then.
He said, "Out of my snack." I would have had a little lunch kit for you.
Little care package.
Okay.
But it was next door. I could go in and buy muscle milk or whatever. But it was just a quick stop in.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason I thought about going to a GNC. My alternative. I'm not necessarily looking for the GNC brand.
Right.
They've got GNC
product,
powder. They've got GNC muscle milk or the protein shake and all that. Some other GNC stuff. But whether GNC stays or goes, to me, it's kind of a non-issue.
Right.
I'm going to go to Amazon,
Sure.
or directly